Lumine, for those who don't know, is a Brazilian streaming platform and audiovisual content producer aimed at the Catholic audience, and it's one of the largest in Latin America in this sector, okay? The headquarters is in Porto Alegre. I knew because she just said it. And it was founded in 2019, we're in 2026 now, so it's already been 7 years of work. Look, Isadora, tell us not only about your work, but also about Lumine's work and where Lumine operates, right? Because we just talked to a writer who works with books, with the written word, and you guys are on many platforms, right? So tell us, introduce yourself and talk a little about Lumine's work, please.
I'm the communications coordinator at Lumine. Lumine will turn 7 next month, so it's a month full of promotions, lots of joy, and lots of celebration. And Lumine works in 3 areas. So we have the production company. Today we have more than 70 originals produced by us, and we have national and international productions. We have the streaming branch, which is where we bring movies, cartoons, and series with Catholic values to the homes of Brazilian families. And then we also have O Caminho, an entertainment branch, which is a big part of my work. On YouTube, social media, and the blog, we share different stories and aim to entertain with Catholic values.
And how is it? For those who don't know this field, Rene here is a digital man, right? Rene is all about digital media, a real digital guy. I'm more of an analog guy, right? But for those who see the religious message as something serious, when you say entertainment, what do you mean? Does this cause any reaction like, wait a minute, are they mixing 2 things, right, or not? Or is this already very well received by people?
It's very well received. We have major productions that show the audience likes it, and we talk about everything. There are no forbidden topics for Catholics. We can talk about everything from our point of view. So for example, we've already shared several stories on our social media. Just now, Otacília and Juliano were with you, and earlier this year we did an interview with them for our blog. We posted content about Maria Eduarda on our social media, and we recorded a mini documentary which will be released later this year. So it's entertainment in the sense that we're telling these stories, and so many others. We have several shows on our YouTube channel that talk about pop culture, that talk about religion, that talk about Catholicism. So all kinds of topics are reflected in everything we say.
I was going to say that Lume, right? Lumine is the Catholic Netflix, but it's much more than that, right? Because it's not just streaming. There are experiences and there's YouTube. Do you guys do any in-person events? And regarding the app's technology, people can easily subscribe to Lumine, and they'll be able to watch it on their TV, on their phone. It's easy.
Absolutely. About events, we are increasingly present at events happening in Brazil. At ExpoCatólica here, we have a booth for our next release, A Extraordinaria Vida de Carlo Acutis. We were the only production company that had access to Carlo's birth, so we have very exclusive footage and interviews.
Did you film with his mother?
We filmed with his mother and we filmed with his caregiver. We went to the school he attended. We went into his house in Milan. It was really like, the documentary is amazing. Just recently we had a premiere and the theater was packed. People left crying, they left deeply moved. So it's very beautiful, it's really beautiful.
That's right, there's a little film showcase here. Many people don't realize there's a full movie theater with an audience.
Right now, Lumine is showing another original, Estado de Graça, O Caminho de Marcelo Câmara. Tomorrow we'll show Dia da Cruz, a documentary we released earlier this year about TB and Decamargos. We released it in March, and tomorrow we'll broadcast it at the ExpoCatólica cinema.
I think one of the biggest gaps in Brazilian cinema is not telling people's real stories. It focuses a lot on themes like favelas and relationships, and you want to tell extraordinary Brazilian life stories, right? And the way you portray Brazilian sainthood is really beautiful. What feedback have you received from subscribers, from people who follow Lume?
It's Lumine. It's special because the most recent and closest feedback I've gotten is the ones we just received after the screening of The Extraordinary Life of Carlo Acutis. It's a film that hasn't been released yet. We held some exclusive screenings at PHN at the beginning of the month, and now another one at ExpoCatólica. So very few people have watched the film so far, and the feedback we've received from all of them has been really great, and so many other productions as well. Recently, we released Estado de Graça, O Caminho de Marcelo Câmara, who was a young prosecutor from Santa Catarina who passed away with a reputation for holiness. And the public's reception has also been really great. And they come to us to tell their stories, and that's the best part. We tell stories through our original productions, we tell stories on YouTube, we tell stories on social media, and people come to us bringing new stories, saying, tell this story, tell that story. So that's also really great because they bring us new ideas. And then we can produce and bring content to them.
Who dedicate my life to spreading the story of Padre Pio. For those who don't know Padre Pio, sometimes people ask me, who is Padre Pio? How do I start to learn about his life? And I always say, watch the movie Padre Pio, the Saint of Pietrelcina, which is available on Lumine, to show them, watch the movie. I don't explain anything, no, just watch the movie.
You don't give spoilers.
No, just watch the movie and it will handle the rest. After that, the person checks the book, then Instagram, and finally YouTube. But how can the power of a movie be determined in someone's life? For example, Rafa, who passed away in holiness, the son of a Brazilian prosecutor, he converted after watching the movie A Força da Amizade, which I think is also on the platform. Do you have a testimony about this? Some people who come to the streaming platform aren't very connected to faith, but that movie helps them, especially teenagers, deepen their faith.
We get a lot of things on social media. From these more recent releases, I can tell you about several, like Dia de Cruz. People already knew the story behind the idea, they already knew Tiba's story, and even so, we received a lot of testimonies. Estado de Graça was another one where we received testimonies. Just now we were talking to a woman because after the screening we had a discussion circle with some influencers. And a woman came up to us saying, wow, I was touched by your lives, you who are younger than me and are telling the story of a young saint. So that's very special, it's really nice for us.
But when it comes to telling stories, communication in Brazil obviously has a lot of stories. Communication in Brazil obviously has many barriers, many challenges, among them the distances, right? We were talking about this yesterday actually. Rene Wright is a man who has traveled all over Brazil. You are proof of that. You leave the center west and go to the south because of your work. And producing content, seeking people's holiness, telling stories, it requires crossing the country, right? Hitting the road, literally hitting the road. Let me ask you, do you ever leave Porto Alegre with an idea and then have that idea change course when you start talking to people? We were talking about documentation here and retelling stories and discovering, wait a minute. So the story wasn't exactly like that. This happens to you a lot too.
We have an example which is the series Brasil de Todos os Santos. We released the first season in 2024. It's a series made with Juliano Casare. So we traveled through the southeast region initially telling stories of holiness. There we tell Guido's story. We went to Canção Nova, to Aparecida, and we came back with some stories. And now, in the last month, we went to the South region, we went to Rio Grande do Sul, the countryside of Rio Grande do Sul and Santa Catarina, to tell other stories of holiness from the south of Brazil. So, the second season of Brasil de Todos os Santos, also with Juliano Casare, which is set to be released next year. It's an example of how we start a project in one way. And along the way, we might end up finding other stories and we end up delving deeper into those stories. I followed these last recordings and it's really nice to be there and actually discover fascinating stories about people who, if we don't tell their stories, they might never become known. And I see that Lumine's work is very important because we can contribute to the canonization processes. Marcelino is a great example of that for me. I'm very devoted to Marcelino. Today he is a servant of God. He's in this process. And we know that presenting the documentary will help more people get to know him. And that's true for so many other stories that we share on social media, on the platform, and in our original productions.
Do you curate content for children, for example? Can parents leave their remote on Lumine and trust that there will be something appropriate for them?
Absolutely, especially for children. We have a plan dedicated just for families. Today we have parental controls, so parents can set the amount of time their child can have access to screens, and that limit is enforced. Plus, we have careful curation, right? So we have our kids' originals, we tell stories. Last week we recorded our Christmas Kids original, which will be released at Christmas, called A Cidade Amarela. And we also bring in cartoons from outside Brazil that tell stories suitable for children. This isn't just for kids. Of course, here I'm talking about kids because parents are very concerned about what their children are watching. And parents on Lumine can be sure if they turn on Lumine Kids, They can leave their children there because it will be trustworthy content. It will be content that gives them peace of mind and the security to leave their children there.
And the segments of the platform, you have movies, you have series, you have lectures. Could you explain them?
Training courses, we have documentaries, we have series, we have cartoons, we have movies themselves. It's a very complete platform. Today we have more than 900 hours of content on the platform. So for all tastes, there's wonderful content.
And something I'm actually curious about, even though I'm a journalist and I've only been working in the media for a short time, I look young like this. But when you're at a content production company that works with many formats in many media, you have to think about these formats, right? From whether it's horizontal or vertical to the duration, the language. So the person who dedicates themselves to watching a 2-hour documentary has a certain level of concentration, which the person who sees the same information on social media doesn't necessarily have. And there's also this generational discussion. I don't have patience, I don't like this or that. So when you leave the editorial meeting, right? The idea of doing something, a documentary, a series, it already comes out with this idea that wait, we have to do it. One way here, another way there, and in ways we don't even know will show up. Along the way,
Communication goes in all directions. I can give the example of Duda's story, which at first, for us to see how the public would react, we told the story on the blog. We did an interview with her parents on the blog. It was nice. We shared it on social media, and we even did a collaboration with your profile at the time, and that post was a hit. That same week, I got in touch with Otasili and said, we want to record. Can we go to Minas, record you, tell Duda's story? We went there, documented all of it, and now this semester it's going to be released. So later, when it's time to launch the documentary, it goes back to social media, back to YouTube, back to the blog, so we can talk about this topic in all our communication again.
So you have these documentaries about saints like Carlos, candidates for sainthood like Maria Eduarda, and how is it for you, for example? It's in the realm of possibility, right? Then time will tell, for example, being at Maria Eduarda's house, seeing her bed, and how is that experience for you?
I think it's the best gift I could receive while working. I'm grateful every day to be able to unite my faith with my work. And I get emotional because it's very special to be able to work with this every day and to be able to tell so many stories, and not just stories about saints. I can even give you a little spoiler, because right now we're in pre-production for our first fiction feature film, where it's called O Chamado Depois do Terceiro Dia, where we're going to tell a fictional but original story. Lumine, so we don't just focus on the stories of saints, on the stories of candidates for sainthood, we also invest in other areas. In the second half of the year, we're going to launch Lumine's first comedy series, a completely new direction, where we'll tell parish stories, things that happen in a parish that are more real.
or inspired by them.
Stories inspired by real events in the form of sketches. And people might be able to identify with things that happen in a parish every day, and sometimes in the rush of daily life we just don't notice, we just let it go by. So Lumine tells all of this far beyond just stories of saints. Of course, that's very important for Catholics, right? To have someone to be inspired by. But we also bring several other perspectives. We're going to have a documentary that was recorded with Father Duarte. Lara, over in Portugal, which is about exorcism, will also be an original Lumine production about a topic that isn't talked about very much. It doesn't have that much following, and that's exactly why we want to bring it up. Last week, a new exorcist priest was appointed here in São Paulo, so that's important. We're going to talk about that then.
But did you go to Portugal?
I didn't go. At the time, I couldn't.
But the documentary is ready and in production, right?
The documentary has already been filmed, and now it's in the editing process, so we can release it. It's going to be a success.
I thought the comedy sketch idea was brilliant. I think that's something that's missing. It's a gap. Wow, fantastic. I've known Lumine for a long time. I'm a subscriber. The app is on my TV, and the Padre Pio movie has been there for a long time. And I thank Mateus Basso, the founder of Lumine, for believing in Catholic works. Because there are a lot of pirated copies of the Padre Pio movie out there, right? But the original with the best quality, I only know it on Lumine. Or you buy the DVD, you're young. Do you know what a DVD is? I do. It's a round thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
And then he would let me watch a movie on the weekend. He would pick one for himself, for my mom, and I could choose another one.
If she says she knows what a VHS is, we'll end this conversation right now.
I know what it is, but then I didn't listen to it.
But I used it.
I have too, man. I used to rewind it before returning it to the video store. I'm curious. I have an opinion since I've been a journalist for a long time. I'm not sure if Rene has his own opinion, but I wanted your perspective since you work there. Your mention of fiction interested me. Is it easier or harder to create fiction, even if it's based on a real story or real stories? I've said I know because I've tried it myself, but I want your input.
That's something you could spend hours talking about with our director, Gustavo Leite. He's an amazing director. He's the one behind all our original projects, and he's leading this one too. It's also fiction, right? Me? Well, I have an outsider's perspective because as the communications coordinator, we're more involved in the post-production part. After the content is ready, we receive it and promote it. I imagine it's easier to communicate something real. It's going to be a challenge, but it's a challenge we embrace, that we live for, to be able to share it later. This fictional feature film that Lumine will produce, so depois do terceiro dia. But I believe it's easier to communicate something real because we have a foundation and we can bring people into it through this connection with other people.
For 2026, we're now mid-year and there are still many new things coming.
Luisa, there's this comedy series I mentioned to you. There's the short doc, so the mini documentary about the life of Maria Eduarda, whom you talked to, This mini
documentary, how long is it?
Is it 15 minutes? The documentary will average 15-20 minutes and be released for free on YouTube. Then they make the mini documentary.
Will you make a longer version later? How does that work?
That really depends on the audience's engagement, on understanding how much the audience liked it, wanted it, and wants to have more content, right?
It's a gauge.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So we released another mini documentary this year, which is Coroada pela Fé. We took Miss Brazil, Maria Gabriela Lacerda, to Aparecida. She handed over the crown and the sash, and then we took her there. We followed this handover, so all of this is part of the engagement. These short docs are interesting because they bring together marketing and communication, which is my field, because we work together with the originals team to be able to distribute this content on social media, on YouTube, for free for everyone.
All right, Isadora, Ricardo, communications coordinator, she's the boss, right? We know she's the communications coordinator at Lumine, visited us here on this live stream. Thank you very much for coming. Congratulations on your work and keep up the good work. Right, thinking about 2026, which still has half a year left, then 2027 and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was great speaking with you all.
It was great talking with you too.